Keep going. It was. I said to him, yeah, on Sunday that I thought it was his best game of his career. Um, it was. He battled. You go through games like that at playing quarterback where you don't have your best stuff, and I looked at him at halftime. He was 11 of 20 for 99 yards, and I just looked at him and said, "You're playing great. Keep going." And he went out, and it was tough. Like it was tough. It was tough schematically for him at times. Um, but that's to be expected. Going against that defense is a challenge. But I said the thing because he looked at me crazy when I told him I thought it was the best game of his career. And I said to him after that, I said, but when your team needed you the most, you took him right down the field, and you had a huge throw, a big throw after the big run by Darius, and then the touchdown pass was well executed. But that's what a true leader is. When your teammates need you the most, you're there for them, and he showed that in that game. I was just proud of him, proud of his resolve, proud of how he just kept his composure and kept rowing and kept working and kept fighting through everything that was going through, you know, him in that day. Because, when you're going through a stretch of games when you're completing, north of 75% of your passes, and then all of a sudden you get into a game and you're playing good, but you're not playing up to the standard that you expect, it can be a challenge. I was really proud of him.
When you think back to that UCLA game with Lemecki screen and then last week, the fake tush push pass, is this the most confident you have felt as a play caller in your career?
Yeah, I told Coach Fleck during training camp, every play call that comes out, my mouth, I feel very confident it's going to be executed. I think the guys have really taken hold of the offense and just ran with it. The fake tush push was something that we've worked on every single Thursday or Friday, depending on what it is, up until that moment. And you have a handful of those plays within your offense that you want to save for moments like that. I decided I was going to call that play if the game was on the line on Thursday afternoon. That was circled already. And I knew exactly what happened right when we got to we ran our top short yardage play. I think it was first and goal on the 3, first and goal on the 4. And I ran a top short yardage play that we decided on, later in the week. Ran that. We got to second and goal on the 2. And I said, hey, this is going to work. Called it. If it didn't, I had my third down call ready. It's not like I didn't know that what I was going to call on third down. But I thought it was really fun because the guys, they hear that play call and they're like, oh, this is it. We got to execute this thing. So it's worked the previous 2 times I've called it too, so it's pretty fun.
When you look at Darius's patience and his vision, is that teachable for a running back, or is that just something guys excel
I think both. I think when you go into Coach McKissick-Luke's running back room, he does an excellent job of explaining the scheme and understanding where the ball should hit in certain run concepts. But I think part of it is too you have to be able to feel when, all right, this helmet is being placed on this side of the offensive lineman. I need to cut here where the ball should hit. And it's some innate ability by Darius just to be able to feel certain things and know when to cut. Like when he gets in the open field, it's all ability that he has. But then secondly, I think just preparation through Coach McKissick-Luke, getting those guys ready to play. You see it when Darius, hits every run scheme, hits every protection as well.
On that go ball down the sideline to Jackson, how impressive is it from a fundamental standpoint for him to be able to control the tempo of the route, stall and get position on it?
It's elite. It's cool to see when the guys execute a play like that. It's another one where we've run a ton of stopping routes like that, and obviously that was a double move off of it. We just continued to see throughout the game how the corners were playing, and that was 2nd and 10, and they executed it well. It was a great throw. It's a throw that we work on a ton, working on it again. Today, just the trajectory of every go ball, and seeing where the receiver is in relation to the corner and how Max has to throw it. That's a lot. And he ended up just putting it right on the money for Daniel. And I thought the most impressive thing was the technique that Daniel used, just being able to hold his line, continue to stay. He didn't drift. He didn't catch the ball on the inside. He caught the ball right outside, shielded the defender from it. I mean, it was excellent job by Jack to be able to handle that under the pressure of the situation because, you don't complete that, you're 3rd and 10. I think you're on the -25 or -28 or something like that. You're uphill at that point. So it's a player's game. Players over plays. I've been saying it the whole time.
Go back to Darius. When you came this season, did you know there was a part of your offense that could be unlocked by using him as a receiving outlet? It seems like every time he catches the ball, it's going for a first down.
Yeah, I knew. Well, it's been well documented that when he was coming out of high school, I think his freshman and sophomore year, he was a receiver and didn't switch to running back till his junior year. And so he has great hands. He has that movement and that skill to be able to get open in routes. And I think part of it is too, we use him schematically within routes, but then also just with him understanding the protection scheme and being able to get into his check down fast, he's able to catch those extra balls. But that was something that I told him back in the winter. I said, hey, we're working on figuring out how to be able to use you in every facet of the game. The most impressive thing was the third and 9 conversion he had, where that was something that we just adjusted at halftime. Again, I go back to the same thing with players. We sat there and talked as a coaching staff. They gave us something totally different than what we were necessarily expecting on 3rd down. And we had to adjust on the fly, and that was something schematically that we had. Okay, they're going to match Darius up with this guy. We're going to attack it. And we let Darius go play, and he made a play. We coached him up during halftime, and Coach McKissick-Luke did a great job there. But I think using that skill set, that's part of our job as being good coaches, is putting the ball in the playmakers' hands and utilizing their skill set.
How much have you tried to rely on Corey this week, considering his connections to Harrison Mack and Rutgers, and how much of it is also trying to balance just trusting what you see on tape?
I mean, when you go into games like this, obviously you use the people in the building, but not a ton, not as much as you would think. I think it's a resource, but I think the one thing I think I look at it from the standpoint of I like to look at the tape. I like to see, because every single defense is different. He worked with him last year, so this defense is completely different than last year's defense. Same type of identity, just like our offense is completely different than last year's offense. If you were to say, okay, talk to me about last year's offense compared to this year, it's apples to oranges. And that's what I think is critical throughout this whole process, is trusting what you see on the tape, and not going off of, okay, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that, but just trusting what you see and seeing what their players are doing well and how you can attack that.
In a typical week, how much leg up do you get having a bye, coming off a bye to prepare for another team? How much do you feel like you can really sink your teeth into?
You do have an advantage coming off of a bye, just because you have more time to look at things. You can look at what you're doing well as an offense or defense. And I think that's one thing that we took advantage of throughout our bye week, and I think it showed when we played Maryland. It's just, we understand that Rutgers is coming off of a bye week, and we understand they're going to, look at every single thing that we do, and we had to catch up. But, we're ready for the challenge and excited about it.
Not even the football aspect, but you've grown a big, close relationship with Max this year. Ethan was kind of your first quarterback. Just what is it going to mean to you to see him again and talk to him?
I'm just excited to continue to coach Max. I love coaching our players every single day. I know I had the opportunity to coach him last year, but I'm really excited to continue to coach Max every single day.
Coach Rock has had a big influence on your coaching career. What's it going to be like to know he's in the other coaching box going against you?
A lot of people have had a lot of impact on me throughout my coaching career, but I'm really excited about going against Coach Harrison Mack and that Rutgers defense. And we're excited for that challenge.
What are the challenges with Harrison Mack?
They play hard. They're very physical. I think they're always in a position to make the play, meaning that they're always going to be aligned in that exact spot. I kind of correlate it to how I talked about Iowa. Iowa's going to line up in that spot. You know what they're going to be. You know what they're going to do. You know what their strengths are. They know what their weaknesses are. And I look at Rutgers' defense from the same standpoint. They're going to be lined up in where they're supposed to be. They're going to drop to where they're supposed to be. They're going to blitz where they need to be. They're going to be in their gap. They're very disciplined. They're very sound. And I think that's the challenging part about that, is because they're so well coached that they're going to be in a position to make the play every single play. They're going to be well coached and well prepped throughout the week. They're going to know. It goes back to that same thing with the bye week. They're going through every single thing that we do well, and they're going to attack it that way. And I think that's the hard part. And I know they're good coaches over there.
Rick, when you look at your play sheet, how much of that kind of overlaps with getting it to your number one wide receiver and
Yeah, that goes throughout the week. And number one, I think two things. It's how we personnel each play. Where do we want Daniel to line up here? Where do we want Elijah to line up? Then I think secondly, it goes through what we call something called layering. And by layering, it means like, okay, how many different ways can we start with the same formation or shift and then get to multiple different plays to be able to see the picture that we want to be able to see? That's one thing that I think has helped us a ton this year. It's something that, we have all talked about as a staff of like, okay, how can we make it so it's a seamless play to play for our guys, and then being able to attack a defense off of that. That's one thing that I think the guys have been able to do is, okay, this motion might get him to this particular picture, so Daniel knows what he's going to see as he's going across or as he lines up. I look at my call sheet from the standpoint of, where can I put Daniel? Where can I put Elijah? Where can I put Darius? Where can I put those guys so they can be at the point of attack and make each play? And then I have sections within, and I circle things that I know, all right, I need to get Daniel the ball in this situation. This is a surefire catch. Let's throw the ball to him. Obviously it's a little bit easier to get Darius or Marcus the ball because I can just hand it to him. But being able to make it schematically sound and attack the defense at the same time, I think that's the challenge. It's the fun part of it each week.
How would you characterize Philip Daniel's first start, and what else do you think clicked for Greg Johnson last week?
First of all, Greg, I think his preparation has been elite. I can tell now throughout the week, he breaks each week down as what he needs to work on. Kind of the same thing I talked about with Max, how Max categorizes his week. Greg is getting to that point where he's focusing on this particular situation within the game on this day, maybe this hour, maybe the next day is the next situation within the game, and he's developing a process of his own. And I think that's the challenge with young players is you feel like you can just roll the ball out and play it sometimes. And with Greg, whether or not he was doing that or not, he wasn't. But it's like he's figured out, okay, what is his process and how can he get ready for the game and how can he play at a high level? Because the thing I kept saying to him was, before you get the game, you better have played the game in your head multiple times. You better have gone through every single run scheme that we have out of every formation that we have, every protection, every first and second down pressure, every third down pressure. What could possibly they throw at me so that I've already played the game inside my head before I get to that play? The second thing with Phillip, there's got to be a point in time where you go play. And that happened to be last Saturday against Illinois with him. And he finally, it happened to be where he got the opportunity to play. I think he went out there and played very, very physical. And we talk about all the time, as an offense and as a program, you're never going to be perfect, but you're striving for perfection every single play. And that's what I kept saying to Phil. I said to him on Tuesday, I said to him on Wednesday, and I carried it all the way throughout the week. I said, bro, take every single play one at a time. Be 1-0 on that play and reset your mind the next play. He did. Did he make mistakes? Absolutely. They all did. But at the end of the day, I was very proud of him and his resolve. And it goes back to the same thing. It starts with the leader of the offense, his resolve. It trickled all the way down to Philip Daniels and how he just kept going. He kept rowing. He kept fighting. And he played well. And I'm excited to see what he can do in the future. I think the sky's the limit for him.
Got time for one more? Elijah Spencer looks like a guy who's just playing with a ton of confidence.
Yep.
Is that just the case of a guy having some success?
Yeah, absolutely. I think going back to January, you look at Elijah Spencer and the amount of work he put in. As soon as Max Brosmer stepped in the building, I think Elijah Spencer became best friends with him. And he was always with him. He was always by his side. He was in the film room with him. He was on the practice field with him. Working extra time. I think that's what it takes. There are not a lot of choices, in life if you want to be the best. And he made the choice to become the best. And I think he's really taken stride. I'm very proud of him because I don't know what his catch total was last year. He has significantly more this year. And that's all because of his preparation, throughout the spring, throughout the summer, how he's taken care of his body, how he's worked in the weight room, how he's worked, in the film room, how he's worked with his teammates. It's cool to see when you get guys who they come into our program, whether it's a freshman or a transfer, and maybe they don't have the success that they wanted right away, But then you see as they just keep going and they keep working, they start to have those because, where you show you're the best is every Saturday, and that's starting to show with him.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
On the other side of the football field now.
Yeah, haven't thought much about it so far. Really trying to, get better from last week. Trying to focus on the team and, really trying to get ready for the game. I've been in that situation before, but it's really focused on the team right now and what we got to do.
How much have you tried to pick Craig's brain? Just he's been around Shrocker quite a bit, knowing how he game plans. How much of it is trying to pick his brain versus just trusting what your normal process is during the week?
I think it's been more of just going through the tape, going through what they've done most recently, what they've done versus similar defenses, trying to remember what they maybe had done against us in the past. Gone all the way back to past games, the 22 game, from the other side, and gone through the last 2 years, all the different situational football things, and really tried to focus on what they've gotten better at every single week and different things that they've shown defenses, especially if there's anything similar, any crossover or carryover from what we do.
You're currently one of the best defenses in the country getting your hands on the football while still maintaining protection against explosives. How pivotal has it been to have your pass rush and coverage structures complementing each other well?
Yeah, I think everything always has to be tied in. We always have to work together on the front end and back end. There's not, every once in a while with certain coverage you can kind of separate the line game or the way the rush plan is. But the majority of the things we do, it's all tied in from the front to the back. Whether it's you're trying to move the quarterback off the pocket, you're trying to collapse the pocket, where you're trying to push the windows for the throws based on how we're rotating or where the coverages are playing, where maybe the strength of our coverage is or where the weakness of how that offense tries to attack you or maybe where the quarterback pushes the football out. We try to tie that in every single week. And, the biggest thing is our guys do a really good job of getting in during the week and studying what we're doing, trying to get better at our, the coverages we play and where we're trying to force the football, trying to understand what the concepts are from the opposing teams. And then, I think we've gotten better every single week up front with our rush plan, whether it's been collapsing the pocket or how we, the fundamentals we use as we try to collapse the pocket, different guys we've added into pressures or different guys that we've tried to use in the presentations to affect it. And, I think our guys have done a really good job every week continuing to get better with that. But it has to be tied in every week, I feel like.
What are the biggest strides Kerry Brown has made from start of spring ball to ending that fourth quarter drive Saturday?
Yeah, I think just you look at it in the game. Early in the game, he comes down the line of scrimmage, misses a tackle. Late in the game, he has the same exact play. He takes his shot and he makes the tackle for a TFL. He's a guy that, he's going to get better every single time he has something. And it's over and over again. He has something on Tuesday, we do the same clip on Wednesday, and he does it correctly. He has something in the first quarter. By the second quarter, he's going to do it correctly. He's a fast learner. He loves football. He cares about getting better every single rep. He works at it. And I think that whole room in general, there's so much competition in that room. And for us, it's we want to make sure we're getting guys on the field. We have a lot of our best players there. And, he's constantly pushing himself to get better. The guys in that room are constantly pushing each other to get better. But you take, from preseason camp to where he is right now, and you can tell it's where he should be. You get better every single day. You work at it and you continue to evolve. And, you can see that from all the way back to fall camp practice 1 to right now, how much of a different player he is. And, I love that about that room, how much better they've been pushing each other.
Has Anthony Smith elevated his play here the last few weeks?
Yeah, so I think, we're doing a lot of different things with him, and he's really maturing and getting better as a football player, understanding different blocking schemes, understanding different concepts in protection, having awareness of what's going on around him. And we've played him at multiple positions now. Sometimes you're going to see him inside, sometimes you're going to see him outside. And a lot of times I think when you go inside, now all of a sudden that block happens that much faster, that combo, that double, that pass set happens that much faster. And now moving him back outside at times in different packages, now his reactions are faster to what he's getting because the game is slowing down for him. And I think, playing him at multiple different positions now, he also understands, well, if this guy's doing that, okay, well, now I have a little bit more flexibility to do this if it's available to me. Or, you know what, I can't do this on this play because I know that guy's doing that and this other guy's doing something else. So I have to do this one thing on this play. And I think it's made him play faster. You know, I don't want to say getting forced into playing different positions, but now, you know, being multiple and doing different jobs, it slowed the game down for him a little bit. He's playing better with technique. He's playing faster. He's understanding where he can attack people a little bit more. And I think especially when we move him back out at end, you know, the game is just slowing down for him. I mean, he's so big, he's so athletic, he's so long. Like, you know, he has so many abilities that we want to make sure we're taking advantage of it. I mean, he's a mismatch at times on a guard. There's other times he's a mismatch on a tackle. He can go in, he can take on a combo block or a double team, depending on what we're seeing that week, from a 3 technique, and then the next week he can do it from a tackle tight end. And then, you know, sometimes it's based on our depth. You know, we want to get our best football guys on the field. So, you know, there's some weeks, you know, we're down an inside guy or a guy gets banged up, he's going to go inside. There's another week, you know, on the edge, maybe we're a shorter guy or someone's banged up or someone needs a rest. He's going to be the guy that fills in there, because I look at him, whether he's in the first series or he's not until the second series, like, he's a starter. I mean, he's as good of a football player as we have, and we can use him at so many different levels. And some weeks it's, hey, he's a big advantage for us to take advantage of one of the guards. The next week it might be for him to go do that at, you know, one of the tackle positions, or what our package is. Now you can get him off the edge rushing. Like last week he had that big sack playing end. You know, the week before he had a great play where he collapses the pocket at guard, affects the throw, and Coy has a pick. So he's done it from so many different areas now. And, you know, being multiple like that, now you can't, okay, he's going to be here. Well, you don't know where he's going to be. And it allows us to be multiple to get different guys on the field.
You got an up-close look at Kyle Monangai the last couple of years. What makes him so difficult to get on the ground?
You know, I think the way he sets things up, you know, and he works so hard at things, and he's such a good football player. But the way that he attacks it, the way he studies the game, the angles that he plays with, like, you watch him, the way he presses the line of scrimmage and the way he sets the linebackers up before he can make his cut, or the way that he uses the blocks and the way he influences things to allow the combos or the double teams or to allow the zone scheme to carry up, and the way that he influences linebackers over the top. You know, that's what I think he does best. And you can see it in the USC game. You can see it in the UCLA game. You know, week to week, Nebraska, he does it a couple times. And, you know, he puts his foot in the ground, and, like, is that jump cut or that lateral cut he has, you know, all of a sudden the guy goes flying by him. Now he makes one cut and he's vertical, and now it's 5, 6, 7 yards. You know, and then he tries to run through people. He's a violent runner. And we need to make sure, you know, we need to go attack. We need to try to bring the contact to him, because he's going to try to run through the first player. And, you know, the leverage and the angles we have to take with him, we have to be very disciplined as we track him all game long. And the other thing is he's hard to see sometimes back there. You know, he runs with a really good pad level. He does a great job pushing it and fitting off of his blocks. We got to make sure we have good leverage on him all game.
What impresses you about their quarterback, Alec Benz?
You know, I think he does a really good job within their offense. And I think the way that they attack you, you know, we saw some things with Illinois last week. They attacked the perimeter early in the game. We see a lot of those similarities, you know, with some of the option stuff where they're going to use Monangai or they're going to use one of the backs, and they're going to try to, you know, whether it's tight zone or it's wide zone, and then he has the option to pull it, get the ball out in the perimeter. He does run the ball pretty well when he does keep it, so we always have to defend against that. And then he's got a big arm. You know, he'll make those field throws. He'll make some throws in some windows. He has a very good arm, and, you know, they do a really good job, you know, especially with like some of the condensed things they do, and getting him some windows where that ball comes out right away. It's a quick game, and, you know, we have to do a great job trying to collapse that pocket. We have to do a great job having the extra hat sometimes, you know, to have a quarterback player, almost like option football, you know, going back to almost like what we did, you know, with like Nevada or Rhode Island, that style of quarterback with some of the things they're doing, you know, offensively. And we got to make sure we're taking away all 3 phases.
When building a defense that promotes versatility, how do you strike the right balance between making things look complex for the defense while still keeping it simple for your defense?
You know, we try to teach our guys at all 3 levels, you know, what the techniques are and what the fundamentals are. So whether you're a safety blitzing or you're a defensive end, you could be playing the same exact technique. If I get a man-on block, I'm going to take it on one way. If I get a man-away block, I'm going to take it on a different way. And we'll do different circuits, especially in the offseason, like during spring football or during fall camp, where we'll do a coverage circuit and we'll have Coach Monroe working with drop defensive ends. We'll have him working with outside, linebackers that could be playing a flat technique or could be playing a curl to flat technique, or they could be playing man. There's a situation we might have a linebacker man to man out in space. He's the guy that's the best at teaching that. That's what he does all the time. Same thing, whether it's a curl to flat technique or some different things, Coach Collins is going to take guys that maybe aren't in his room, but he'll take them during a period. He'll run the unit meeting and, he'll kind of coach the guys up in that area. And it's the same thing. It's Coach Debo or, different guys working with blitzers, whether it's a linebacker or it's a safety or it's a corner. And we want to teach them all the same fundamentals. So, some of the packages we do, you could have, Joey Gerlach, or you could have, different people on the line of scrimmage. You could have different people off the ball. Now they know what that technique is if they're buzzing out, if they're dropping in the curl window, if they're rushing the quarterback, or if they're, playing the quarterback to dive or bending flat for the dive. Whatever the fundamental of the technique is, we try to train our guys in all those areas. So if it's a team that's going to be heavier personnel, we can play more defensive linemen. If there's a team that's going to spread you out, maybe we can play some more defensive backs or some more linebackers. Like last week, what we did presentation-wise with Coleman and, different guys with Jack Henderson, getting different guys on the field in situational football and then, putting them in different roles. Those are things that we worked on in April and May. Those are things that we worked on, in preseason camp in August. Now, they may not have shown up until, game 3 or game 5 or whatever game it is, but those are things that they have banked reps or accumulated reps that they've practiced, they've worked on, they've watched film, they've learned, and now, getting it ready for a game, it's a little bit easier to put them in those situations. And that's one thing. I think it just, whether it's a D lineman playing 5-3 nose, like Jalen Logan Redding has played almost every position. Anthony's played multiple positions. We move Strigg around. It's the same thing. Last week we played Cody down, in certain things. And those are things that, maybe they haven't seen that a lot on film, but those are things that they've practiced, they prepared for, we've handled in different situations. So, and I think that allows the guys to play faster. And the thing I really like about it is even if you don't play in that spot, now when you're playing your normal spot, you have a good understanding and awareness of what everyone around you is doing. You understand how it fits together maybe a little bit better, just so like now you understand when you can take your shots and play a little bit faster, or when maybe you can't. You got to kind of settle down and pause to see things through.
Got time for one more? Your defense has forced more turnovers than any other Big Ten defense, and now you face a Rutgers offense that is number 1 in the Big Ten they only have 4 turnovers in 5 games. What have they done to take care of the ball so well?
Yeah, I think it's very similar beliefs in both programs. It's all about the ball. The ball is the program, and we got to make sure our job is to affect the football. We want the second guy in to go get the football out. We want the third guy, the swarmer, the defense. If that ball hits the ground, like last week, it's almost like we make that play. I think it was like the 5th play of the game, the first play of the second drive, and that ball's on the ground, and we all think Wally's going to scoop and score, and then Mav, comes flying out from the hash. He's 12, 13 yards away when that ball initially hits the ground, but he plays so fast. He wants the football. He catches, catch, tip, tuck, squeeze. He's on the ball right now. And it's, I just wish he knew it was his teammate he was stealing it from, because I'd like to see what would have happened. They had a guy in the area. You never know what's going to happen. But our guys are playing so fast, and they're being obsessed with the football. That's what we love to see. That's what we want to see when we turn the film on. And I think our guys are doing a good job of affecting the pocket, matching the hand of the quarterback, collapsing the pocket where now the quarterback maybe can't step up, which affects the passer out and, where the ball flies. And we're challenging a lot of throws in the back end. And, sometimes, there was a little bit of drought in the middle of the season. And sometimes they don't come your way, and other times they may come a little bit more. And I think, Rutgers does a very, very good job of I think they have 2 fumbles all year. They've lost 1. They don't put the ball on the ground. I think Monungai, I don't know the last time he's fumbled. I can't remember him ever fumbling. It's so hard this week on the ball tape trying to find, if the ball's ever on the ground. And then the same thing, like trying to force interceptions. I think the quarterback's smart with the football. He doesn't force things in windows. He doesn't get them off track. A lot of times they're on track, and he does a really good job of controlling and setting the offense in the right direction. And, we have to do a good job. We got to get them off track, and we got to force. We got to get the second guy in. We got to be obsessed with it. And, we got to, anytime there is an opportunity to capitalize on something, we have to make sure we do that.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you guys.